Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Israeli. And today I want to talk about Mansour Abbas. Now the government has been sworn in, and he's going to be part of this new government. Mansour Abbas is the head of Ra'am, the first Arab party to join the Israeli coalition party government, which I think is one of the most interesting developments that happened in many, many years in Israel. And I think Mansour Abbas is extremely brave in doing this. He took a very big risk because he left the Joint Arab Party, the Israeli Joint Arab Party, which is built from 3 or 4 parties, and he was one of them. And he left. Now he took a chance that he won't make it into parliament. He took a chance that he'll be staying home and watching from the sidelines. But he broke from them because they are not willing to take part of an Israeli government ever, no matter what happens. They like being in the opposition and screaming whatever they like. Even though they do pass a lot of laws, even though they are in the opposition, they also do a lot of good, which people don't tend to talk about. But they never take part of the coalition, which means that symbolically at least, they don't want to be really part of the country. But Mansour Abbas said enough is enough. We need to serve our people, we need to serve our voters, and we can't do it from outside forever. We need to go inside the government, be part of the government, and make a change, and work for the voters, for our voters. And Bibi Netanyahu started those steps into bringing an Arab party because he needed them. But at the end of the day, naturally, he preferred going with the other side, which, well, every time the Labor, which used to be a big party in Israel, was in control, was in government, they treated the Arabs and Palestinians much better than the Likud. So naturally, he preferred to go to that side. So before we go into Mansour Abbas, I want to show his speech and talk about it a little bit, because it was a very brave, very different speech than what we're used to hearing from the Arab politicians in Israel. And hopefully his speech will give Jewish politicians enough courage to start talking about peace, to start talking about the two-state resolution again. Because the right, they are not afraid to say outright today that the two-state resolution is finished, it's dead in the water, and the one state is what we need, but they never explain how they want to do it, which is extremely dangerous, because they don't want to have, because we know they don't want to have a one state equally with equal rights for everybody, and most Israelis are not willing to accept that. So how are they going to have the one state resolution? They're not willing to talk about it. They're not giving answers. And the left is not speaking about the two-state resolution anymore. They're afraid to speak about peace, so they'll lose power. And now when they have power again, we'll see what they do, if they'll have the courage or not. And I think Mansour Abbas is very important for giving them that courage. But before we go into that, I want to go really quickly into yesterday's circus, I guess we can call it. So this is what happened when Naftali Bennett, Israel's new prime minister, whether you think it's logical or not, legitimate or not, to be a prime minister with only 6 seats out of 120, it doesn't matter. The democratic process in Israel allows it. And if it allows it, then he's a legitimate prime minister, and you have to accept it. That's the democratic process. Leaderships change. Governments change. It's normal and it's healthy. So let's see what happened, how respectful the Bibi side of the parliament is. So this is when Naftali Bennett took the stage. Let's put this like that. I think it'll be better. Okay. So you see they're screaming him and that he's a leftist, because being called a leftist is like a curse, which I don't see why. And that's part of the thing that made a lot of people on the left stop talking about the peace process, because they were afraid that they'll be, cancelled, I guess. That was a way to cancel people in Israel, but it doesn't work anymore. So they call him a leftist, a traitor, a liar.
חבר הכנסת סמוטריץ' לא להוציא אותו מהמליאה מיד.
נא להוציא אותו מהמליאה מיד. את חברת הכנסת וולדיגר נא להוציא But this was orchestrated. This was orchestrated by Bibi Netanyahu, who he sits in the front, and reporters said that every time he looked left or he looked right, that's when this kind of circus began. It was all orchestrated. It was very much expected to happen, but it just shows, how disrespectful they are and how much of a panic they're in, because they know that this new government is going to do a much better job than this girl here, Mai Golan, I think her name is, who is screaming and yelling, and nobody even knows why and how. The new government is going to... Okay, this is Yair Lapid. He came up to apologize to his mother for coming to Jerusalem and having to see this circus. So I think this is crazy, and it just shows how good it is that we have a new government in place now, a more respectful government that's going to bring some saneness into Israeli politics, which affects the whole civil life. Okay, now I want to show you the Mansour Abbas, his speech that he gave yesterday in Parliament. This is Mansour Abbas. He's the leader of Ra'am, the first Arab party to join an Israeli government. And he gave this speech, and I want to go over it a little bit, translate it a little bit, and talk about what he said. He has about a minute to talk. He talked in Arabic for a long time, because Arabic is an official language in Israel, and he spoke in Parliament in Arabic first for about, 10 minutes or so. He spoke for quite a while, and now he's saying the same thing more or less in Hebrew, but he'll make it shorter because he doesn't have a lot of time left. But with the time that he does have left, he does say a lot of interesting things. The main thing he wants to say... Okay, he has about a minute or so. He has more to... We belong to different people, different culture, different sectors. But there's one thing that connects between all of us, and that's the citizenship. Ra'am decided to advance the civil discourse, which connects everybody. Ra'am will try to advance a discourse that will bring to a better relationship, a new relationship to all the citizens of the country, both Jewish and Arabs. A discourse of tolerance. And they don't want to go out. They want to act respectful, to stay respectful. And they still believe in this vision. And they also want that all the members of parliament will start thinking differently. Nobody sold the Negev. Okay, so the Negev has a big problem with the Bedouin, because they are Bedouin, they are nomads, and they don't have permanent housings. And anybody who's been in the south, in the Negev, it doesn't look good. They live in tents, they don't have electricity, the schools are awful. Sometimes they have to go an hour or two to get to school. There are no roads, because it's not a permanent settlement. And people are talking for a long time to fix that. And now he's going to be in charge of the Negev. And the right said that we gave the Negev to the Arabs because he's going to be in charge of it. So he's answering that. So the Negev was not given to Ra'am. The Negev still stays within the state of Israel. The citizens of the Negev are Israeli citizens. There's a conflict on the ownership of the property. But that happens in every country, modern country, that has to deal with this type of issues. Of people, tribes that move from one place to another. Many countries have this problem. We found out that at the end of the day, the problems of citizens that turn into nationalistic issues, and then we need to solve and to give a solution to a conflict, to a 100-year conflict, just to solve
פתרון למצוקות החיים
a problem
של
for
אזרחי
the
המדינה.
hardships of life to the citizens.
חינוך, רווחה,
Education,
תעסוקה,
welfare,
הסדרה
jobs,
של
regulating everything
יישובים
for
שיקבלו מעמד
villages
מוניציפלי,
to get a municipal stand, to be recognized,
שתהיה להם אפשרות גם לפתח
to have the option to also develop their
לא רק
farms,
שלהם, של המדינה
agriculture,
עצמה.
not just for themselves, for the whole country, because they are citizens of the country. I'm adding that.
ולכן
And that's
אני
why
מקווה
he
שהשותפות
hopes that
שאנחנו
the
מנסים
partnership
לקדם,
that they're
השותפות
trying to
האזרחית,
advance, the civil partnership,
גם תגשר על הפערים ברמה
will
הלאומית
bridge
וברמה
the
הדתית
gaps
גם,
at the
ותביא
nationalistic
אותנו
level,
ביחד
and will lead
לדיאלוג,
us
לדו-שיח,
to a
שנבין אחד את
conversation, to a
השני
discourse
ולא
that will
נעמוד
lead us to
אחד מול
understand each
השני
other and not
כאויבים.
stand one in front of
זה
each other
המבחן
as
לא רק
enemies.
של
This
הקואליציה
is the test not just for the coalition,
שקמה היום, אלא גם המבחן של
also
האופוזיציה.
for the
ואני
opposition.
מודע, כבוד השר דוד אמסלם,
And I know, he says to one of the ministers,
אתה אומר את הדברים גם לגבי ההתיישבות ביהודה ושומרון, גם שם תתמכו ביישובים, או אלה אזרחים אחרים?
דוד,
he asks about the settlements in the West Bank, if they're going to support Venezuela or if they're different than the Bedouin.
אני אתן לך
They're different
תשובה
citizens.
אני אתן לך
So he's from the right, and he's from the Likud.
הוא לא הסתיים בכן ולא.
חברים,
הוא דיבר על הבדואים.
אנחנו כל מה אני אתן לך תשובה,
He'll give an answer, he
דוד,
says.
אני אתן לך תשובה בקצרה, במשפט אחרון. דוד, לרע"מ
David.
יש חזון. אני
רע"מ has
מקווה
a
שגם
vision.
לך וגם
He hopes
לליכוד
that you
וגם
and the Likud,
ליהדות, לכל הסיעות בבית,
all
שיהיה
the
להם
parties
אותו
will
חזון.
have the same vision.
החזון
What's the
שלנו
vision?
לחיות
Our vision is to live
בשלום,
in peace,
בביטחון,
security,
בשותפות ובסובלנות.
partnership,
תודה. תודה.
בביטחון, בשותפות
Partnership.
ובסובלנות.
תודה.
and tolerance.
תודה. בואו נסיים בנימה אופטימית.
Okay, so this was Mansour Abbas' speech. I think that this is a beautiful speech, that this is what Israel needs to be. Everybody living together, having the same fate, and working on problems through discourse, not through conflict, and trying to talk to each other. And now this guy comes from a party that refused to talk with Israeli parties forever, to be part of the coalitions forever. And he changed that, and he said, you can do whatever you want, I'm doing this. And they told him, fine, and you're going to fail. But he received 4 seats, which is a lot, because it's 4 out of 14 seats that the Arab party have, and it's a lot of Arabs that support him, Arab Israelis that want the same thing. And I believe in the next elections he'll get even more votes, because his way is the right way, and I truly hope it's going to prove itself. Now, I hope that with him taking this risk, and he's taking a big risk, because if Gaza is going to be a problem in Gaza, when decisions are going to be made, have to be made in Sheikh Jarrah, or what to do with the settlements in Biden, he's going to be part of this government, and he'll have to answer to the Arab citizens and the Palestinians about the government's decisions. So he's taking a big risk, and I hope that people in parliament, in the Jewish parties, in the Zionist parties, will take the same risk and start talking about peace again, about the 2-state solution, and start challenging the 1-state solution that the right is bringing up, to start challenging and ask them, how do you want to do it? Is it going to be a republic? Is it going to be representative autonomies or whatever? How is it going to be? Or is it going to be apartheid? They need to ask those questions, and they don't. But now if they'll start speaking about the 2-state resolution again, then they'll be able to. All they need is a little courage. And it's amazing that this guy from a small Arab party that nobody ever thought about the Arabs being part of a coalition, he's the one that's pushing this braveness forward. And Mansour Abbas, I just want you to know that I support you 100%. I'll be totally honest, I will not vote for you, but I do support you. But I do vote for parties that are not that support your way of thinking. So I think that's close enough. So that's what I want to say. I'm going to follow this guy now for a while, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this. And I wish him and this new government the best of luck. And one last thing, go back to the video and compare how he speaks and how they acted on the new opposition. And it's so good that we have a new government that's going to be more respectful, is not going to use dirty tricks and cheap tricks just to get support, and by demonizing the other side, by making people, by saying that if the other side rule, now it's the end of everything, as if the country didn't exist before them. It's all silliness, and they need to stop and take responsibility. But it's also obvious because Bibi, throughout this last 12 years, got rid of all the quality people that were in the Likud and on the right. He got rid of them because they endangered him. They could have challenged his place as a leader. So, and he put people that were not fit for their jobs and not fit to be politicians, but very fit to put fire in the voters, to put hate and to put all those things inside the voters, to reach to the lowest common denominator. They were very good at doing that and making people feel like victims and demonizing the other side. They were extremely good at doing that, but they weren't professionals at doing it at their job, because populists never are. So it's good that now there's a new government, and the ministers are actually, for the first time, people who are trained for those jobs, who can actually do those jobs well, and hopefully they will. But words are cheap, and we'll need to see what they actually do. So again, I wish them the best of luck, and thank you everybody for watching this video. And please, if it's not too much problem, like and subscribe. It's going to help the channel a lot. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Have a great day. Bye.